Thanks for joining us again, everybody, on our journey looking at high-performing teams. Today we're going to talk about one that's a piece of that high-performing team that's a little bit easier to deal with, and that's called role understanding and role connection. And what that's about is really knowing your job and knowing how that job then interacts with others. The kind of baseline rule that we're going to operate from here is kind of a little bit of a tier, and that is, first of all, you got to know your job. You have to be basically competent at what you do. You got to understand the ins and outs. You have to be kind of the expert in your job and your function. Now, beyond that, and where it becomes a team dynamic, is you have to have an understanding of the other functions in your department or your other organization. Because to operate in that kind of isolation, I do my thing and that's it, we're never going to get the full, true high performance out of our team. So next level up on this tier is understanding what folks around you do. And the reason I say this is a little easier one to attack is because systemically we can create a system and build a process that takes care of that. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So I have to understand the roles around me, and now the third little tier up, I have to understand the role impacts. Now, what I mean by role impact is, what is it that I do within performing my job and my function? How does that impact other roles in the team and other roles in the organization? How do those other roles and other folks in the organization, how do they impact how I'm able to perform? And the reason that's important is because, again, if we operate in that kind of vacuum of, I do my thing and, kind of the heck with the rest of it, we don't really understand that, by me waiting until Wednesday to get something done might not be a big deal for me because my deadline is Thursday, but there's somebody else waiting for it, somebody that maybe wants to take Friday off, or somebody that has other projects going on. So really understanding the impact of what I do and the impact that they have on me is huge. Now, there's two ways that we're going to go about dealing with this. First one is an awesome way. I mean, I really love this to death, and it has more impact than just role understanding. It actually improves engagement, and there's some variety of side benefits associated with it too. And that is just simply conduct some job shadowing. And what job shadowing is I take time, half a day today, half a day tomorrow, whatever it is, and sit with and spend time with those other functions in the organization, those other functions in my department. I then get to see what it is that they do. I see how my work feeds into theirs, how their work feeds into mine. And some of the great side benefits is you develop some levels of cross-training, and you get some cross-empathy built, and you pull people out of kind of the monotony of what they do all the time too. That's a really powerful tool to use in organizations that are not only big, but small size and medium size as well. So job shadowing is able to take care of a real big chunk of that. The other way to go about looking at this is to use more of a, systems thinking, process management kind of approach, where you do some process mapping. And what process mapping is taking a particular flow, a task, a customer request, something, and tracking it all through the way the different people touch it, the different people that contribute to it, and the different impacts that exist. If you do this and facilitate this on your own, what you do is you kind of, just take a whiteboard, take a flip chart, something, and identify a typical flow and all the people that touch it and what their functions are and where the impacts are, and have people talk about things like the deadlines, if there's issues with work quality, things like that are pretty common in the working environment that can cause some hiccups, and just have them talk through that. But more important than talking through it and identifying it, have them look for areas where they can find improvement. Can I roll my deadline back to Tuesday? Does that help you out? Oh, awesome. If you take a second look at that before you turn it into me, does that help the overall process, and does it help me out? Awesome. That's where you start getting the performance improvement and the performance impact associated with role understanding, role clarity, and all those pieces. So again, just real quick, I've got to understand my role, what I do. I've got to understand the roles around me and what they do. And then probably most importantly, that third step is understanding the impact that those roles have with each other on typical processes and customers and things like that. So really take a close look at how everybody understands the functions in that department and add that as a really strong tool in building your high-performing team. The next time we're together, we're going to talk about forgiveness. That's an interesting dynamic in teams, and we'll spend some time working and talking about that. Have a great week, everyone.